Hi, I'm Brent Lundell with score.org. Welcome to our monthly podcast here. And we are a national nonprofit across the U.S. SCORE has a number of chapters in the Minnesota area, and we are fortunate to be partnered up with the Better Business Bureau of Minnesota and North Dakota. And SCORE is partially funded by the SBA. I am with my co-host today, Vanita Steffel, and she will brief us a little bit on her company.
Hi, like Brent said, I'm Vanita Steffel. I'm with Acumen Business Solutions. We are a commercial real estate brokerage, and also we have been making a goal of doing hotel investments where we acquire hotels and manage them.
Vanita, the commercial real estate industry is always complex and a lot of moving parts with it. What are some things as a owner broker that you look in different markets for?
We look at whatever our clients' needs are. Right now, there's different variety of not just office spaces or industrial. Multifamily has been big the last few years, but there's a shift happening, and that is why we are right now focusing on hospitality. We see that the revenue is great, and the need is very much out there with not just the clients, but the investors.
Are you seeing a lot of repurposing in different areas out of the office space?
Yes, people are looking at different ways of taking these buildings because they are the least expensive commercial right now. So they're trying to figure out ways to repurpose it. The challenges are, of course, zoning and the structure of the building, how they can really affordably restructure that, repurpose it to a usable space.
I think one of the confusions that individuals always have with commercial real estate is comparing it to residential real estate.
Yes.
And just give us one or two differences of what those things are.
You know, I always put it as residential is a more personal entity because it's someone's home, it's their livelihood, their lifestyle, where commercial is a business only. And I don't want to say bottom line, but that's what they are. They're looking for a bottom line of building their business in a profitable manner that also will be a benefit to the community.
Well, fantastic. Commercial real estate is always fast and moving, and we look forward to learning some more about it.
Yes.
When we come back, we will be with Scott Becker. He is one of our guests today on our SCORE podcast, and he is a local business attorney. Hi, this is Brent Lundell with score.org. I am the Associate District Director for Minnesota, along with being a commercial banker during the day with Alaris Bank. A lot of my webinars tend to focus on bank financing, and today we're going to focus just on some of the resources that score.org has, not only digitally, but also across the country. SCORE is a national nonprofit with over 200 chapters across the country and over 11,000 volunteers. The Twin Cities, Minneapolis chapter is one of the biggest chapters in the country, and we typically will do over 200 annual workshops in this area. This is our main website, score.org/Twin Cities. And I want to take people through just some of the resources that they can find here on this website. Once they click on the website, they'll have some options here of entering in their email address for updated events. And so what I would suggest for a lot of people to do here is that they can click on workshops and events. So upcoming events, for example, we'll have on here the national, any location, and the Twin Cities webinars or events that are coming up. Once you click on that, you can then highlight whichever event you want to register for. As an example here, if you click on your best next steps for 24 and beyond, it'll bring up a registration link for you. And these webinars that we do, not only over Zoom, but in person, there's usually a small fee, or most of these are actually free. So once you click on register, then you can sign up for that particular event. And then it'll take you through the registration process on there. Now, if you're looking for a template, let's say you're talking to a banker, maybe a CPA, or even a SCORE mentor, and you're looking for projections. You have to do 2 to 3 year projections on your business. There's a number of resources here you can look at. So if I click on templates and resources, and I click on template gallery, it will then take me to just an array of these different templates that are available for you, really at no cost. So you can click on the template and you can scroll down to see what is included in the template, things you may want to include in there, give you some ideas of what it is. But then also you can actually download the template and start working on that in a live form. And this particular site for the resources, there is a large variety of things for you to look at. I will often get questions on bank financing or finance templates, and we've created some of these templates that we use in SCORE here, and they're really a viable resource for anyone who's in business that is just looking for other resources, maybe a different format to look at things. Some of the other things that we offer in the Twin Cities are these local workshops. And local workshops, a lot of these are free at no cost. Some have a small fee if they're doing a lunch or something like that. But these events, we really try to look out the next 3-4 months ahead on what's coming up on the calendar. And then you can really just go on to the site at your leisure and click on the event and get your registration in. And so these are available for anyone who wants to stop in, anyone who wants to view these online. They're typically very well attended, and they're led by our volunteer base of SCORE mentors. What is a SCORE mentor? A SCORE mentor typically is someone who has some business experience and is willing to volunteer their time. And so when you click on local mentors, it will give you some options here on what you're looking for in terms of industries. Maybe you're looking at geographically where the mentor is located, but it'll give you a wide variety here of different mentors to scroll through. And once you've selected a mentor, or you may not know which mentor you want, we have an intake person that can go over that, along with trying to match you up to the best mentor for your industry, but also try to match you up for the best overall fit. And so once you've been designated a mentor, typically that mentor then will reach out to you, and you guys can begin your sessions of either meeting over Zoom, meeting in person, or even a combination of both. And so the mentors are a vital component to SCORE. And SCORE is funded by the SBA side of the federal government. We appreciate their partnership in what we're doing out there. And if for those of you that are interested in maybe becoming a SCORE mentor, you can always come over here and navigate to the volunteer tab, and you can really put your name in the hat here on what you're looking for. And I think once you start volunteering as a SCORE mentor, you'll find that it's very rewarding, and you can, in essence, give something back here to the community. I would encourage everyone who is watching this and listening to this that we do have a number of recorded webinars. And so if you're looking for a particular webinar on maybe it's finance, maybe it's transition from W-2 employee to employer, almost all of our webinars are recorded, and they're archived into this various spot. And you can literally, once you register, you can view the recorded webinar. And so there are hundreds of webinars recorded on here. And again, these recorded webinars are no charge. You can simply register for these and listen and look through them at your leisure. Finally, I would encourage you to look through this site and find some things in here that may make some sense to review. One of these things I would encourage you to look at is under the About tab, you can click on some success stories. And these typically are some case studies, success stories where someone's willing to interview with us on how they took their business from A to Z. And you can kind of read through and build up some case studies and confidence on what you're looking for. Again, this is the Twin Cities SCORE site. It's score.org/Twin Cities. And thank you, and we'll follow up soon. Welcome back to our SCORE podcast. The topic of today is how it was built. And we are interviewing Scott Becker, who is a private attorney in the Minnesota area. And so welcome to the podcast, Scott.
Thank you, Brent.
Scott, as an attorney, what are some areas that you practice law in around Minnesota?
My practice has evolved over the years, I would tell you. It started off where I was doing a lot of employee benefit law and working with companies of all sizes with regard to their retirement plans and their benefit plans, health insurance and cafeteria plans, things like that. And from there, I would get asked by the owners usually, can you do contracts? And so I got into doing more just agreements, general agreements. So it might be an employment agreement, it might be a vendor agreement, it might be some sort of buying or selling either part or all of their business. And so we would deal with a lot of mergers and acquisitions and so forth. And so from there, it went to the business owner would go, do you do wills? And so, before long I was doing wills and estate planning and then ultimately the business owner dies, and so now I have to do probate for the estate.
Sure.
So that's sort of the life cycle of where I've come from and where a business actually goes to as well. So,
and with you practicing law in some of the M&A side of things, where is it good for an individual to introduce you to the deal?
I would tell you right at the beginning, and that doesn't always happen, but I say that because there are an awful lot of upfront things that I can help troubleshoot that would save time down the road. And while lawyers get teased about billing on the minute and so forth, I look at part of my objective is to save time and make this more an efficient process, rather than to go into something that we've gone down the wrong path. And then I come in and I'm like, we probably need to reverse course and
Sure.
talk about whatever before.
Sure. We have a number of webinars we do with SCORE that some attorneys do some workshops for us via Zoom or in person. And so we're always pointing people towards our SCORE resources, which invariably leads to some contacts out there for some business attorneys. What are some of the pitfalls that business owners come to you for, and how do you prevent some of those things?
Sure. I can tell you about, I'll give you an example right now of a client that is starting his own business in he wants to sell drinks cold brews and things like that. And his bottler and his vendors who were looking for certain territorial provisions in an agreement, he was doing all this without any written agreements. And of course, that usually is a sign of trouble because they don't really have terms stipulated. And so, ultimately, the vendor or the bottler or whoever is probably going to try to take advantage of that situation. And so I've encouraged him to get all of this in writing, and we need to start making written agreements, not just handshake deals.
Sure.
So, but a lot of times it is where, well, I've known this guy for years. He would never do anything to harm me, and I can trust him. Well, maybe not.
Sure. Well, one of the questions that we get asked a lot, either as a SCORE mentor or individuals in the business community, is the Business Ownership Transparency Act that we'll talk about when we get back. Welcome back. We are continuing our talk here with Scott Becker, who is a business attorney in Minnesota.
Well, Scott, that's interesting to hear how your legal journey has progressed. So can you just tell me what was your journey of even becoming a lawyer? What was it, something through family, or what was your initiation?
Sure. Yep. I didn't go into law school right after college.
Okay.
I worked for 6 years approximately, and I worked for an insurance company, and I was on the sales side of things where I sold life and health insurance and a lot of retirement plans, 401ks. And
Okay.
so I worked with business owners from a sales aspect and, encouraging them to plan for their futures and so forth. But it was always from a sales end, not from a technical end. And the more I got into it, of course, the more I realized it would really be nice to understand better the technical side of these types of things. And ultimately that led to maybe I should go back to law school. And so I did. And as I went back to law school, what I discovered was that lawyers generally, your rank and file lawyers, don't really like benefits. They don't like to have to deal with employee benefits. And so I thought, this is great. I've got a niche here that appeals not only to other lawyers because they would bring me in on certain things, but also as well as the clientele need this. So.
Okay. So you do contract with other attorneys as well?
Sure.
And then, so when you do present your business plan of offering these services, is there a sign of relief from them?
There is usually, yes, because
Okay.
now they don't have to worry about the Department of Labor or the IRS coming in. And,
Okay, so
it's
so
not
very
their problem.
seamless. You're taking that stress away from them so they can focus on what they need to do with their client.
I hope so.
And
That's
plus
that's the goal, right? Yeah.
Right. Want to make it a big happy family of
Right,
that.
exactly.
That was great. So Brent had mentioned about merger and acquisition. So can you just go to a little bit more of how that overlaps with beneficial ownership information?
Sure. Mergers and acquisitions is an area where one company is either buying or selling, and usually another company, and it might be the entire company, or it might be just a portion of it, maybe a division or a subsidiary or something like that. Where beneficial ownership information, known as BOI now quickly, is something very new in 2024 here that is being required by the IRS and a division of the IRS, where businesses are required to report their owners to the IRS. And so this is the type of thing where they're concerned about fraud is the issue. Okay. And that because companies form their corporations or their LLCs, and they often form several layers of these, and it's easy to lose who's actually benefiting from all of this. And so if company A owns company B, which owns company C, D, and E, well, who really owns company A then? Which individual is it, or multiple individuals maybe? And so the BOI, the beneficial ownership information requirement, is intended to address that. And so otherwise it would be, and it has been, from the IRS's perspective, very easy to commit fraud within these several layers of corporate structure.
So basically to make sure the right taxes are being paid for that company.
Sure, right. Yes. I suppose it all boils down to taxes. That would be true.
I'm assuming since the IRS is somewhat involved that there is, right, just to make sure everything is fair with
Right.
what companies are being established.
Sure. So in my quick example where A owns B, which owns C, D, and E, it would be very easy to say, well, whatever money E makes, we're not even going to claim that because trace it all the way back through B and A and then to the individual owners might be more difficult than anybody can do. And I've only given you 3 levels of corporate structure there.
Okay.
There are any number of organizations out there that go double digits at least deep on how many corporations and how many levels they have. And so to track all of that becomes a very difficult process. And so the BOI comes into play.
That's very interesting. Well, thank you.
The BOI, I think, is going to be a hot topic through the entirety of 2024 here. And so we would encourage people to reach out to their legal advisors on getting more information on that. And we thank Scott Becker from his law firm for being here with us today. Scott practices law in Minnesota, and we are gracious for his presence. So thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
When we come back, we'll be talking with Skip Nelson.
Every business says they're better, but how can you prove it? It starts by becoming BBB accredited, which grants you an official Better Business Bureau seal of accreditation, instantly enhancing your company's credibility and reputation, and representing to customers that you're committed to operating with integrity, honoring promises, and telling the truth. Prove your business is better with the BBB seal of accreditation. Customers are looking for it. After all, it's the sign of a better business.
Welcome back to our SCORE podcast. We are fortunate enough to talk with Skip Nelson, who is a small business consultant with Business Breakthroughs. Skip is a former grad of the University of Minnesota, correct?
I am. Don't hold it against me.
And I understand from there you were forming a business, starting a business out of your parents' garage or basement.
Right out of the basement, yep.
How was that experience for you?
It was great. And first, I have to say, as a 30-year business owner, SCORE and the Better Business Bureau are such amazing resources. It's just a real treat to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
I started right out of my parents' basement, met my business partner selling lady shoes at Dayton's department store, which I tell you, during the Daisy sale was one of the most violent things I've ever experienced in my life.
Very much so.
But you never know in business what you'll learn, right? And but we just want to get into business. We did some research, started a carpet cleaning company out of my parents' basement, and built that over the years into a multi-million-dollar business, getting into construction and fire and water damage restoration, and it was a fun journey.
Sure. And from there you got into small business consulting of some sorts?
Yep. Yeah, I kind of consulted along the way just because of the success that we had. People would reach out and kind of wonder, have questions or whatever. And I've grown to really treasure that. It's a real pleasure to hopefully keep people from making maybe some of the mistakes I made over the years and really be able to quickly improve their profit, which has really been a passion for me.
Sure. SCORE, we deal a lot with business owners either starting out or they kind of have one foot in a W-2 job and one foot in the entrepreneurial side. How do you coach someone from wanting them to get into that entrepreneurial side full time compared to doing both?
It's kind of like a lot of things. If you're really going to do it, you kind of have to be all in. It's hard to just do it part of the way. And so I encourage people that sometimes we have to start and have a way to make money before we kind of go all in. But at some point, that's got to be, if you're just kind of dipping your toe in and say, kind of see how it works, usually that's not enough. If people, you got to be all in because there's bumps and challenges that if you're not really committed, you're not going to keep going.
Do you see a resemblance of the individuals you're consulting with on some of the errors you may have made as a business owner?
Oh, yeah. And I made a lot of errors. But I learned, fortunately, knock on wood. And I've written or co-written 7 books on the subject. And so it's something that I think the people that are most successful are the ones that are really committed and really just dive in and go, as we kind of talked about. You have to have that drive and have a passion for it. And if you have that, you can overcome a lot of the challenge.
What are 1 or 2 pitfalls that a lot of small business owners fail to do as they're trying to grow their business to that next level?
One of the biggest mistakes I see that small business owners make is that they focus too much on revenue. We always think about, I want to be $1 million company. Well, only 7% of small business actually get to $1 million and above. But it's really not about revenue. It's about profit. I like to joke that I at times was an unintentional nonprofit, which you don't want to be that, right? But it isn't about revenue. I had times where I generated revenue, but I didn't make any money. And so it's really about focusing on ways to generate profit. And that's, as a coach, what I'm able to do is go in and kind of surgically go in and find hidden pockets of profit to help businesses get that very quickly.
Sure. We are here with Skip Nelson on small business breakthroughs, and we will continue our talks when we get back. We are back with Skip Nelson from Small Business Breakthroughs, and we are interested in learning more about Skip and his fantastic seminars and other things he's doing.
Well, Skip, one thing I do need to ask, why did you start with carpet cleaning?
Coming out of college, we wanted to start a business. We had no money and really knew nothing. So we needed something we could learn and something that didn't require a lot of capital. And we did some market studies, found that there was need. And so we dove in, got a van, and started cleaning carpets. And my mom was shocked. I mean, I don't think I'd even vacuumed a carpet at that point, to be honest. But we learned and grew from there.
And so how was that process as you were starting that business? Did you start developing a process to grow businesses that would be applicable to any industry?
I find, and certainly as a coach, I found that there's far more similarities and differences. We all think our businesses are so unique, and it might work over there, but it's not going to work in my business. It really does. And a lot of the characteristics that I look at, the strategies that I coach from, and I've got 12 key ones that I work with businesses on, don't vary really at all. It doesn't matter the industry. But if you focus on those and really and really looking for just key, even small incremental change, it doesn't take massive change. Just small incremental change can add up to huge profit increase.
And with your coaching, and like Brent said that you do seminars as well, the key is to get to making money. Mm-hmm. And probably the fastest way, right, that your clients want to get there, and probably without failure.
That's the hope. Hopefully that's the case, yeah.
But as you mentioned, that failures do come with any kind of success as the end goal. When a client does hit a failure spot, how do you encourage them to keep going?
Well, a lot of times it's just like you're not alone. You look at people that maybe have had some level of success and they have a nice car and a nice house, and it's like, well, I want that. And it's like, if you talk to them, you'll find out that they went through probably years maybe of struggle and mistakes and whatever. So it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn and just kind of keep going. And with a lot of my clients, that's really kind of the message, is just let's learn from it. Okay, that didn't work. What is it? Einstein said that I just found 900 ways that it didn't work, and then I found the one that did. That's really it, and just keep going. And that's okay to make mistakes.
It is, and I'm sure you'll agree that it's a lot to do with your mindset.
100%. Yep.
And if that is something you truly desire, you're going to take every step, failure and successes, to reach your goal.
Yep. And as a coach, a lot of times that's part of my role, is just to be an advocate and just support, and just like, it's okay, get back in the game, and whatever. And a lot of times that is helpful.
I know you said about your seminars, but you also said you've written and co-written some books. Mm-hmm. So what is one of your favorite books that you've written?
Boy, it's like children, right? It's hard to pick just one.
I can pick some of my.
Depends on the day, right?
Yes, yeah.
I would say probably my first one, called Your Business Breakthrough, really talks about the 12 baseline strategies that I kind of coach from, and it really, I think a lot of businesses find benefit in that, because it can really be applied to any business, and it's written that people can read it and come away with actionable things that they can improve their business right away.
Well, thank you. And then when are your seminars? Are they, if anyone wanted to come to it, attend to it?
Yeah, they can reach out to skipnelsonmarketingsolutions.com and actually get a free copy of that book if they would like there. And but they're periodic. I do them all over the place, all over the country actually. And so they can go on the website and find out. Love to welcome anybody. A lot of them are free, and it's just about give back and helping small businesses get to where they want to go.
Well, thank you, and thank you for that information.
Skip Nelson from Business Breakthroughs. We will be back shortly. Thanks for joining us on our SCORE podcast. We are thanking Scott Becker, who is a practicing attorney in Minnesota, along with Skip Nelson, who is a small business coach with Breakthrough Business. Vanita, thanks for co-hosting, and we look forward to doing this a lot of times. What are one or two things that you took away from our guests today?
Well, first, thank you for letting me be a co-host. That was a great segment on business ownership and just what it involved. And also being an entrepreneur, it is great to be knowing that there's going to be some challenges, but never to give up. And I appreciate Skip's willingness to share about that.
We thank everyone for attending and listening.
Thank you.